There are many jim dishes containing variable fish, vegetables, or meat, and Koreans have enjoyed these jim dishes on special days. Jim is the most time-consuming and elaborate cuisine in Korea. Today we will show you a very widely loved and enjoyed jim dish, Kalbitchim, which is slow-cooked beef with a rich melting taste.
안녕하세요. Hello, I'm Hwa Young-jung and I'm your host for More Than Kimchi. Many cuisines have stew dishes cooked slowly over a long period, and Korean cooking is no exception. Today we're going to prepare kalbitchim. Jim means stewing. Kalbitchim means short rib stew. So we're going to make kalbitchim today. Before I go any further, let's meet our chef today, Mrs. Han Bok-sun.
네,
쌤 안녕하세요. 오셔서 감사합니다.
네.
And our regular guest here, Melanie Yoon. Hi, Melanie.
Hi.
Thanks for coming. Today, we're going to make a dish called kalbitchim. It's sort of like a stewed short rib. Do you cook sometimes beef stew at home?
We all love beef stew in America.
Oh, wonderful. So now you get to learn how to make Korean-style beef stew.
I'm looking forward to it.
So let's take a look at the ingredients. So here first, I have short ribs. These been soaked in water for about 15 minutes. And then for vegetable, I have Korean turnip, carrots, mushrooms, 표고버섯, and the green onions. And for marinating the beef later for seasoning, I have pear. It's called pear. And later for garnish, I have egg, which is egg yolk and egg white made crepes already. For meat seasoning, we have soy sauce, sesame oil, sesame seeds, chopped green onion, chopped garlic, salt, and a little bit of sugar. So 선생님, what shall we start first?
네, 여기 갈비부터 준비를 하는데 갈비는 좀 기름이 많고 질긴 고기예요. 그래서 이걸 자를 때 한 4cm 정도 길이로 자르세요, 먼저.
Yeah. Cut the beef,
네.
See, first, the short rib has a lot of fat, so we need to cut it to get rid of some of the fat.
네.
선생님, why don't you show us first and
네,
then we'll
이렇게
follow
돼서
you?
먼저 이게 불순물 제거하기 위해서 물에다가 아까 15분 담궈두라 그랬죠?
So one of the reasons we are soaking in water is you want to get rid of some of the blood and impurities. So you soak it in water for about 15 minutes. Do you do that too?
No, it's really rare that we would soak the meat
네,
first.
그러니까
But
우리는 항상 숲 같은 거 할 때 큰 덩어리 고기도 찬물로 씻은 다음에 물에 좀 담가놔요.
So it's a very common practice in Korea when you have big chunk of meat, you cut into a smaller size and soak it in water for a while because you don't really want those blood or the impurities that the beef
We'll
might
often
have.
soak it in a marinade or wine to tenderize it.
But we do that before we do it. And then there we
이렇게
cooked
했어요.
for about 15 minutes.
네, 그러면은 여기에 완전히 그 핏물이 보이지 않을 정도까지 하면 여기 기름이 다 녹아 나오고 불순물이 다 이리 빠져 나오겠죠.
So before we actually cook, you boil for 15 minutes. One reason is it's a good way to skim all the fat off, of the impurities and the blood. So it's good to to boil for 15 minutes, and sometimes you have those things, scum you call, that comes out from the meat.
Scrape it off the
You
top.
scrape it off, so that's how we cook for about 15 minutes. So after you soaking the water, you boil the short rib.
이건 지금 갈비 된인데요. 이건 사태 있죠. 그러니까 앞다리살 그런 질긴 고기들은 이렇게 다 삶아서 찜을 하는 거예요. 연한 고기는 안 하죠, 우리는.
So like the tenderloin, you would make a stew, but tough part.
No, I mean the wonderful thing about stew is it's an inexpensive cut of meat
That's
that when you
exactly.
cook it a long time has a tremendously rich flavor.
That's exactly what we are doing, because short rib is fairly inexpensive sometimes.
Oh look, the scum came up on the
Yes, that's
cloth.
right.
That's wonderful. That's a great idea.
And then we'll skim the fat off, with this, and sometimes you can just put it in the refrigerator for a while, then you just take off all the fat
I've
at the
always so
surface.
patiently taken it off with a spoon. Your way is much better.
Yes, that's a very good way. We haven't thought about
이제
that.
이렇게 돼서 이게 조금 식어지면은 우리는 이제 그 다듬어야 되겠어요.
So once it's cool off a little bit, we'll just cut off the chunk of the fat. So
그런 다음에 이제 이거를 양념을 해야 되니까 양념하죠. 근데 오늘 양념하는 거에 대해서 할게요.
So we're gonna, put some seasonings for the meat. So Mrs. Han will show us all the seasonings for the beef here.
항상 이제 이 될 때는 이 달걀 하나 무게를 우리는 50g이라고 생각해요. 작은 거를. 그러면은 100g에 대해서 이게 두 개면은 요거 하나 큰술 15cc 항상 하거든요.
So you know, it's interesting the way you think of 100 gram. She was mentioning one egg is about 50 grams. So think of the weight of 2 eggs. So per 100 gram of meat, you have 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce,
셋 하고
3 tablespoons of soy sauce,
넷
4, yes.
이제 5 해봐요.
Yeah.
그러면 이제 이게 500g이잖아요.
So this
500g이면
will go for 500 grams of meat.
But
So,
won't all that soy sauce make the meat tough?
so it depends on how much you are using the meat. So
I see.
per 100 gram of meat, you are using 1 tablespoon of soy
예,
sauce.
그러니까 여기 지금 뼈가 다 빠지고 이제 이 베지터블 섞을 거니까 그거 500g이라 생각하고 5개 만들었어요.
So considering the whole weight would be about 500 grams, so we have 5 tablespoons of soy sauce,
네.
and then we have sugar, half amount of soy sauce. So it's going to 2.5 tablespoons of
반
soy
넣으면
sauce.
되겠죠? 간장, 설탕, 그다음에는 이제 기본적인 것이 다진 마늘.
마늘,
이거는 좀
so chopped garlic.
넉넉히 넣으시는데 우리는
And this is what
조금,
Koreans love, so we put lots of garlic. But if you don't prefer garlic flavor, you can reduce a little bit.
항상 마늘의 2배 정도를 반을 집어넣어요.
And then twice amount of garlic, chopped onion we are putting,
그다음에
sesame seeds.
이런 거는 이제 맛으로 넣기 때문에 꼭 분량을 꼭 정하지는 않아요.
So for sesame seeds, green onions really depends on your choice.
And that's one of the nice things about a stew is you can
A
really
little bit
follow
of
your own
this,
flavor,
that's right, a
can't
little bit
you?
of that. As you said on the cookbook, mixture A.
That's right.
그러니까 이제 여기다가 후추를 넣어야겠죠. 고기니까.
Because it's beef, it's important to have black pepper and sesame oil. She put just before.
보통 때는 이제 채소일 때는 고춧가루 넣잖아요. 그러니까 이제 고기일 때는 후춧가루다.
So oftentimes when you cook vegetable, we would put the red pepper for spice. For beef, you are using black pepper, which is what you would do probably.
That's right.
네, 요거를 이제 좀 다듬어 주세요.
So
그쪽에서.
here we're gonna clean up a little bit. I think it's cool off a little bit, easy to handle.
예, 만약 기름이 너무 많으면은 기름을 좀 떼어내고
So you're trying to
하는데
cut the big chunk of the fat.
But you leave the meat attached to the bone.
Yes.
이렇게 칼집을 뼈하고 이렇게 가로로 이렇게 세로로 넣지 말고요.
So there's the bone. You cut it this way, about twice or so. So that way it will absorb the flavor better too.
see.
Yeah, just like
And
that.
it should tenderize more quickly
Right.
too.
And then across again, twice. And also, it's important to enjoy the flavor just at the surface of the the bone. So it's important to cut it all the way, so later we get to enjoy it.
You know, short ribs are often hard to find abroad, but they're a very popular stewed dish in New England.
Oh, is that right?
And
yeah.
we used to go to New England for short ribs, but of course they didn't put all these wonderful seasonings in them that you do.
What kind of seasonings do they use in New England?
Well, they'd use the same vegetables, but never the pear.
Oh,
That's what's so unusual
So
here.
we'll see.
고기는요, 굉장히 이렇게 질기죠.
예,
그래서
예.
조금 우린 연하게 하려고
Right,
그래요.
예.
그러니까 보통은 요즘에는 술을 넣는데 전통적인 것은 이렇게 배를 넣게 돼요. 그러니까 배를 한번 갈아서 넣어보겠어요.
So one of the reasons, when you cook, I'm sure you do the same, you put a little bit of wine to tenderize the meat. But for this dish, we use pear juice instead of wine.
Oh, pear juice is
Pear
a
juice,
tenderizer.
yes, yeah. So we will grate the pear and then use the juice for the tenderizing the meat.
한국 음식에서는 이 배를 과일로 생각하지 않고 채소로 생각하는 경우가 많아요.
why is
그래서
that?
예, 음식에다가 굉장히 배를 많이 넣죠. 냉채는 거의 채소 요리에 같이 넣어요.
So, pear is actually a fruit family, but the uses in Korean cooking is almost like just other vegetable. You sometimes put in kimchi, sometimes some, punch, or like marinating the meat, all different, purpose of using pear.
Because of its quality of tenderizing and softening
Yes, and the
things.
flavor.
That really has an interesting texture. It's not at all like our Western pears.
No, it's not. Shall we ask her?
Yeah,
why don't you try? Yes.
It's really very liquid, isn't
So
it?
sometimes you say Asian pear, I call it Korean pear, and we say pear. And texture is very different from your pear.
Which is mushy
Mushy
compared
kind
to this.
of, yeah. This is very crunchy, and as I say, we have many different uses out of the pear juice.
It's so liquid.
Yes. Do you think we have enough now?
예, 그러면 이제
that's good enough. Shall I pass it
양념장에다
back
이제
to you?
섞으면 돼요. 이거를.
So this we're gonna just use mix with the seasoning we already prepared before. These are the basically very similar to those bulgogi seasoning.
Okay, so you don't strain it. You use
No,
the
you
meat
use-
as well
yeah,
as the
yes.
juice.
Because we're gonna cook it for a long time. That won't be a problem.
이렇게 해서
아하.
양념을 갖다 여기다 넣는데 조금 한 4분의 3만 넣죠.
Shall we ask Melanie to taste it a little bit? See what
Okay.
it
Oh, I'd
is
love to
like.
see what
Yeah.
this marinade tastes
Yeah.
like. Oh, you have a
There,
small spoon.
here. See, it has lots of pear juice. Can you actually taste the pear
Yeah,
juice?
there's a sweetness to it, and of course the hot of the garlic.
With the garlic. But of course, when you cook for a long time, this flavor of garlic will, disappear and make a nice flavor for the beef.
이렇게 해서
예.
아까 이 국물 했던 거 있죠? 이거를 넣고선 충분히 좀 푹 무르도록 해주세요.
So remember the broth we prepared before? We skim up the fat and those things, so we put that. And then we're going to cook it for how long shall we cook? For about 40 minutes. You know.
1시간.
Oh, that's
Or
wonderful.
simmer.
So you don't lose the initial flavor from the cooking of the meat.
And that way you cook for about an hour in a slow cooking, of course.
Really, only an hour. Now, normally when we cook short ribs, it has to be much longer. It must be the way that you score the meat and using the pear juice allows it to cook more quickly.
Yes. And notice we didn't put the vegetables, so we'll see what happened with the vegetables here. Yes.
That makes me wonder about something. Normally in our stews, we do cook the vegetables with it.
So here we prepare how we're going to use the vegetable. You will see while we are cooking the meat, we'll prepare the vegetable. So first the carrot.
이렇게 돼서
So
이거를 이제 하는데
예.
여기 모양을 좀 이렇게
Oh, wow.
다듬어서 이제
So you want to make the shape kind of nice and round. You cut all the corners, you see it. So make it sort of like a round shape.
Is there a reason, or is this just for
Well,
beauty?
one of the reasons is beauty, I'm sure. And second reason is, when you put vegetable, when you make stew, it becomes kind of mushy and breaks. This way, it kind of have the shape the way it is.
okay.
So the two purposes we are doing.
But we
So I'll
could
try
leave
that.
that step out
Oh,
if we wanted to.
Of course, there's always exception that you can modify the recipe. So you cut the corners, then it becomes kind of nice chestnut
It's
shape.
cute, yeah.
Just a chestnut size.
예. 지금 여기에는 요것만 넣지만은요.
예.
보통 때 이제 다른 때는 여기다 밤도 더
Oh,
넣게 되고.
sure, yeah. So you can actually use, other vegetables you use. What kind of vegetable do you use for stew?
Well, normally we use turnips, carrots like you
Right,
have
yeah.
here, potatoes, mushrooms. Those are the most popular ones.
So we do use mushrooms, and then we have turnip and carrots, or
Oh, you
chestnut,
can?
or chestnuts, or those also jujube. You have you seen it? It's like what do you call that?
It's, like a little nut.
Yeah. We can use that, but the important thing is we cook it separate. That's probably is the difference from what you make the stew.
Yes, it
우리는
is.
이 물을 굉장히 김치 담을 때는 꼭 빠지지 않아야 되고 뭐든지 국이라든가 그렇지만 생선을 요리할 때도 꼭 물을 같이 쓰죠.
So turnip here has many different uses. We use for kimchi. Sometimes you make the stuffing for kimchi.
Yes.
That's when we use turnips. And just about every stew we use turnip. And some fish dish. So the uses is quite a variety for Korean diet.
그다음에 이제 표고버섯이요. 표고버섯 넣는데 이제 여기 기둥 다 떼고서는 정리를 한
So
다음에
next we are using the 표고버섯, the Chinese mushrooms.
Are these
black
the
mushroom.
dried ones?
These are the dry ones, and then you will just cut it in. Have just about the same size.
Can
We
you
cut
use
it.
fresh mushrooms as well?
예, 괜찮아요.
Yeah, so fresh mushrooms or dry mushrooms. And if you are using dry mushrooms, you will just soak it in water, and then you will use it. So shall we boil it? Okay. So
And
next,
why do you
yeah.
keep the vegetables separately?
Shall I ask
예.
Mrs. Han?
여기다가 처음부터 넣게 되면은 이게 이제 너무 물러지고
Yeah,
또
right.
색도 아름답지 않게 되겠죠.
So two reasons. If you cook it from beginning, the vegetable becomes too mushy, and also the color, you lose the color. So by cooking vegetables separately and then mix it later, you can still keep the shape, also the color of the vegetables.
Actually, that is the way they do it in France
Oh,
as
is that
well.
right?
They keep it
Yeah,
separately,
yeah.
but we Americans, as you know, want to just put everything in together.
우리나라도 가정에서는
yeah.
그렇게들도 해요.
In fact, I think many Korean homes, they do the same way. You don't want to really, but this we want to make it a little fancier for you, but at home you can always put things together.
Well, if you can put it together, can I ask you one more question? Could you make this in a crock pot?
I'm sure you can. I mean, you know, you put, but the thing is, beef takes a little longer than vegetable to cook. So you might want to start with the beef and later put the vegetables and then cook much longer. Because we're going to cook for about an hour before we put the vegetable. So shall we? The water is boiling yet?
Feels like it's starting to boil.
Yeah. So we'll put the vegetables together, the turnip and the carrot that we prepared. Here.
소금을
Put this in there.
넣어주시죠.
Okay. And then put a little bit of salt, Melanie. In
All
that.
right. Let you reach across with that knife before I grab the salt.
So here.
이 버섯은 맛이 많이 그 글루타민산이라는 것이 있기 때문에 같이
So
끓여주죠.
mushrooms, you know, oftentimes we cook with the beef, so we'll put mushrooms. Go ahead and put the mushrooms before the vegetables.
예.
There.
국물을 넉넉히 넣고 해야 오랜 동안 할 수 있어요. 그런데 한국 요리는 이렇게 냄비 요리가 많아요. 그래서 그게 다르죠.
Yeah. So you know, I'm sure you mix too sometimes in the oven. For us, we always use stove instead of, you know, we don't really use oven. So it's everything is always on
And
the
it
stove.
looks like you're cooking it at a higher temperature, a higher boil than we usually do.
Shall we turn it down a little, or is this pretty good?
예, 어느 정도 했을 때는 시간을 거의 40분에서 1시간 해야 되니까
That's why I
천천히
think we
하면
cook
되겠죠.
about 45 minutes.
I see. Now, how long am I leaving these here?
This is how long shall we
한
cook?
15분 정도 하면은 조금 말랑하게 되겠죠. 지금
Only
여기에
for 15 minutes or so, so it becomes kind of softer.
Can I look at this with a knife and see if it just pierces easily?
Now remember, we're going to cook this again with the beef, so you don't have to make it too soft.
It's not too soft, but the knife enters easily.
Yes.
그렇게 돼서 이게 이제 어느 정도 다 물러지잖아요. 여기서 물러지고 나면은 여기 삶아진 것을 갖다 끝으로 넣는 거예요.
So after 45 minutes, you will dump all the vegetables we cooked and the green onions.
The colors are beautiful.
Very, very
You're
nice.
right.
Yeah, it's nice because usually beefs too, the colors all become
It all
pretty
gets
much
brown.
brown. Yeah, brown color, definitely.
그리고 아까 이거 남았잖아요. 그러니까 이제 간을 먼저 보고 나서 이제 조금 부족할 거예요. 그럼 마저 이렇게 넣으시면
So you can
되겠죠.
adjust the, you know, the seasoning also, the leftover of the beef seasoning. Later you can add if you like to adjust the seasoning.
이렇게 돼서 이제 1시간 정도 놔주면 되겠어요.
So that way we'll cook 1 more hour, do you think?
예, 여기에서
Okay.
예, 한국 요리에서는요, 이제 우리가 고명을 쓸 때 흰자하고 노른자하고 해서 이렇게 돼서 보통은 채를 썰어서 놨죠. 이렇게 해가지고 그랬는데 이런 방법도 있지만은 오늘 같은 경우에는 이렇게 그 보통 말하는 다이아몬드형이라고 그러나요? 이렇게 돼서 얹어져요.
So oftentimes we use egg yolk, egg white for garnish. It's the same. Today we're going to use it as a garnish. For this dish, instead of using this kind of strips, we'll make a diamond shape.
Can I try it with that piece of yolk?
Yes. Or this one.
한번 해보죠.
We will cut it to the shape of kind of slant.
Like that,
That's good. Yeah. So it's a diamond shape.
이거를 이제 다 한 다음에 우리 한국의 그 그릇에 대해서 설명을 하면은 이렇게 이제 찜이라고 하는데 우리 그릇에 이렇게 뚜껑이 있는 그릇이죠. 그러니까 우리는 이거를 합이라고 얘기를 해요. 합.
So this container, you know, as you can see, has a lid. This is called hap. And many jim dish, jim means stewed processed jim. And many jim dishes we serve in a, you know, a container like this with the lid.
It's
so
beautiful.
this is hap. So we
And it
will
would
serve
keep
it over
nice
here.
and warm.
Yes, and a nice presentation. So I pass this to you. Shall we use this one
보죠.
for?
예.
Yeah, I think this is cooking. This is already cooked before, all finished products.
네, 한번 이렇게 섞어보죠.
smells wonderful.
이쪽으로
Yes, very
가볼까요?
nice.
그러면은
You know, it looks very much like the New England stew,
that right?
but it smells completely differently.
We'll find out how different they are later. Would you like to put it over here? Be careful.
네,
Smells wonderful.
우리가 한번 담아볼게요. 이렇게 해서 이제 다 아주 완전히 잘 물렀어요.
Yeah.
이렇게 해서
Very nicely cooked.
That's lovely. We call this kind of dish a casserole, a covered casserole.
So there it's
그렇죠.
all
그게
done.
다르죠.
Because it's cooked for a long time, you can see the meat is separate from the bone. Smells just wonderful. A little bit of
이렇게 하고
sauce. And Sherry put the garnish that we prepared.
여기다가 노란 거
There.
얹어서
Yellow color and white color. So this is kalbitchim today we prepared. What do you think of kalbitchim, Melanie?
Well, I'm going to find out soon, but
Yes.
it smells delicious.
Smells wonderful. Yes. So here we have kalbitchim we prepared today. Let's take a look at the whole procedure one more time.
Koreans have developed variable jim dishes for a long time. Jim or smothered dishes are superior to any other Korean cuisine. Now, let's see why these jim dishes are so special for Koreans through the variable Korean jim dishes. Here is Hanggae Folk Village located in Seongju, northern Gyeongsang Province. First, let's see the steamed jim dish, which is the most widely and easily used in Korea. When you make jim with fish, you should steam that twice. Once you steam red snapper to take out only the fat and keep all the nutrients, then you can enjoy the light taste of fish. After steaming the fish, decorate it with some vegetables and eggs. Sprinkle it with some seasoned soy sauce and steam it again. When you cook with fish and vegetables together, it's better to put vegetables on a second cooking so as not to become too mushy and lose their color. Tomijim, or steamed red snapper, is a family party dish in Korea and is served at birthdays, weddings, and other holidays. The unique Korean vegetable, minari, is also used in making jim dishes. And if you use only vegetables, you don't have to steam twice. Minari jim is similar to pan-fried pancakes, but minari jim can reduce more calories than pan-fried pancakes because it is cooked by steam and not with oil. Minari jim, or steamed minari, gives you unique flavor and savory taste. Jim dishes in Korea have been also developed for cooking this non-shaped ingredients such as eggs. When you make dalgalchim, or steamed egg, eggs are beaten together with sesame oil, green onions, and salt. And they are also decorated with chopped green onions and red pepper threads. Dalgalchim is different from other jim dishes in that dalgalchim is cooked in a double boiler because it is a liquid type. Another jim dish containing meat, takjim, or braised chicken, is different from kalbitchim or tomijim. After the chicken is steamed thoroughly to take out the fat, it is decorated with vegetables, then fried and braised with soy sauce. Takjim is prepared for the payback table, which is offered to in-laws by the new bride on a wedding day, and ceremonial table to honor the ancestors. So it is a very valuable food for Koreans, and this time it is important to keep the shape as it is. But in a sense, takjim is more like another Korean cuisine, jo-lim, or fried and braised in sauce. As you can see today, jim dishes entail a great deal more preparation and longer time to cook. On a dinner table, however, they make a difference worth every effort.
So let's let Mrs. Sang start first. That's safest way, right?
Okay, I'll just follow.
So you grab one as she did, and I'll do next.
Oh, big one.
Yes.
I'll bring my plate up to it.
Okay.
포크 나이프 없어요? 그러니까 손으로 드셔야 되죠.
So you know, in Korean food, we don't use fork or knives. So the good one thing, this kind of meat especially, it's fine to use your hand.
Oh, what a relief.
Yeah.
바베큐 할 때도 포크 나이프 할 때도 있죠?
Right. Just same as you know, when you barbecue, you know, chicken or those things, especially ribs, you use
Any
your
bony
hands.
food we like to use our hands with. Even sometimes you'll eat the T-bone steak, the last part, because the part next to the bone is the best part.
That's the best part, right? Yeah. And also, biting your food in Korean food is not, you know, strange at all. You know, something you can just gently make a bite and put it down. That's fine too.
You know, certain dishes, I'm so surprised at how much they are like our food. And one is the barbecue, and another is this dish, and even the way you eat it. So I feel very comfortable biting into this.
Now you get to tell us what the difference of the flavor is. You know, it's very much like your beef stew.
Oh, Very rich, very nice.
그래요. 그리고 이거를 다시 한번 찜해서 구우면은 조금 더 구이의 그 그릴 맛이 나기 때문에
찐
좋아요.
다음에 또 찐 다음에. You know, one way to enjoy this, after you make a stew like this, you can also grill. So there's extra flavor you can enjoy of grilled beef.
So you, right after you stew it, then you can put it on the barbecue?
That's one way.
한번
Oh,
하면
that's wonderful.
그냥 구우면 질기거든요.
That's right,
한번 쪄서 구우면 구운 맛도 나.
Exactly right, because it really takes too long. For tough meat, you don't really want to barbecue.
No, it stays tough.
Right, so by doing this, you make the meat tender and then enjoy the flavor of barbecue.
And do you use this as the sauce then?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a wonderful idea.
You know what, Melanie? I would like you to try some of the sauce because it's really very special. And you can tell us the difference from your beef stew.
그래요. 국물이 좀 있어야죠.
There.
Oh, there, just put it straight in my spoon. Let me taste it.
참 맛있어요. 참 맛있다.
It's a little bit sweeter, but that strong garlicky taste that I tasted in the sauce when you put it in, it's gone.
That's right. The onions or the garlics, once you cook, it just helps enhance the flavor of meat, but you never really taste this strong garlic flavor, I don't think.
You know, I think this is a dish that Westerners should really try. It's pretty simple. It doesn't involve difficult cutting, and the taste is just something everyone would love.
That's right, yes.
Actually, the Italians make dishes like this too, in which they use lamb shanks, like ossobuco.
Oh, yeah.
With lots of garlic, and it's really reminiscent of that, except of course they use tomato.
Right, and try the vegetable because it's not that mushy, and the color turns out very pretty. You know, the carrots and
Can I just bite it?
Yeah.
I told you it's okay to bite in Korean food.
The whole thing.
And also the color of green onion, you can really preserve the color by adding the vegetable later. That's
The
nice.
carrot retains its really carroty flavor.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I hope you like today's recipe, kalbitchim. I think everyone can enjoy this rich and melting flavor of this slowly cooked beef. Why don't you prepare this dish for your next Sunday family dinner? Thank you for joining us today. 감사합니다, 선생님. Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you again on next More Than Kimchi. Until then, 안녕히 계세요.
안녕히 계세요.